I was at Riverside Funeral Home on a Tuesday afternoon in October, planning being responsible at 68. It seemed like the practical thing to do. The funeral director, Mr. Hammond, had been patient. We reviewed casket options, service packages, payment plans. He'd stepped out to get paperwork. "Take your time looking at the brochures, Mrs. Smith," he'd said. "I'll be right back." I needed to use the restroom. Down the hall, second door on the left, the walls were thin. I could hear voices from the consultation room next door. One voice I recognized immediately. "David, my son." I froze, one hand on the restroom door handle. He wasn't supposed to be here. I come alone. Told him I was having lunch with Linda from book club. His voice came through the wall. Clear, deliberate. "Cheapest casket, more inheritance for us. She won't know the difference anyway, she'll be dead." I stopped breathing. A woman's voice. "Jessica, his wife. Are you sure about this? Mom 68 could be any day now. Why spend $12,000 on a fancy funeral when $3,000 gets the job done? That's $9,000 we keep." My hand went numb on the door handle, cold metal. The hallway smelled like flowers and furniture polish. I could hear my own heartbeat. David kept talking numbers, calculations. "Once the POA kicks in, we'll have full control anyway. Redirect the life insurance, the house, all of it. POA, power of attorney." What was he talking about? I heard footsteps, movement. They were leaving the consultation room. I pushed into the restroom, locked the door, stood there. The fluorescent light buzzed white tile floor. My reflection in the mirror looked pale, unfamiliar. My son had just planned my funeral. Like a budget meeting. Like I was already gone, no worse. Like he was waiting for me to die. I stood there for 5 minutes, maybe 10, breathing, trying to understand what I'd heard. Cheapest casket? More inheritance for us. Once the POA kicks in. When I came out, the hallway was empty. David's voice was gone. I walked back to Mr. Hammond's office. My legs felt unsteady. "Mrs. Smith, are you all right?" Mr. Hammond looked concerned. "You look pale." "I'm fine," I said. My voice sounded normal. Steady. Strange how that worked. "Just a bit warm in here." We finished the paperwork. I signed the pre-arrangement forms, traditional service, the casket I'd chosen. $12,000 paid in full. Mr. Hammond shook my hand. "Everything's documented, Mrs. Smith, whenever the time comes, hopefully many years from now. Your wishes will be honored." I nodded, smiled, walked to my car. I sat in the parking lot for a long time, hands on the steering wheel. October sun through the windshield. My son had been here. In this building today, planning my funeral without me. No, not planning, calculating profit margins on my death once the POA kicks in. I started the car, drove home. The streets looked the same. Everything looked the same. But something had changed, something I couldn't quite name yet. I needed to know. What did he mean? What POA? When had I signed a power of attorney? And more importantly, what else had David done that I didn't know about? I drove home on autopilot. Same route I'd taken for 30 years past. The elementary school where I taught, past the coffee shop where I met Linda for book club discussions, past the park where I used to take David when he was small. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. I'd lived in my house since David was 15, a ranch-style 3-bedroom in a quiet suburb. Margaret paid off 10 years ago. Robert died of a heart attack 5 years back. Since then, it had been just me, same routine, same life. Every morning I sat on the back porch with my coffee and crossway puzzle. Same birds at the feeder, same ritual for 20 years, stable, predictable, safe. Or so I thought over 30 years. I'd given David everything I could. I'd been a single mother after Robert died when David was 3. Teacher's salary, not much, but I made it stretch. $65,000 for college. I taught summer school for 4 consecutive years, grading papers while other teachers vacationed. $40,000 for his first house down payment. I emptied my savings account the week he asked. Didn't hesitate. $25,000 for his wedding to his first wife. I'd been saving since he was 12. Every paycheck, a little bit set aside. $15,000 for his divorce lawyer 2 years ago. He'd called me crying. I transferred the money that same afternoon. Total, $145,000 over 30 years. I thought I was building his future, investing in his success. Being a good mother, I never thought he'd see me as an investment with a maturity date. David had been struggling since the divorce. The stress, the financial pressure of starting over. Jessica, his new wife, seemed nice enough when I'd met her at their small wedding last year. I'd worried about him, wanted to help. 6 months ago, he brought papers to the house. Estate planning documents, he called them. Said it was time to get things organized. Just standard stuff, Mom. Power of attorney, beneficiary updates. So everything's clear when the time comes. That phrase, when the time comes, I felt uncomfortable. But I'd signed, trusted him. He was my son, my only child. Why would I question him? I never read those documents carefully. Just signed where he pointed, conflict avoidance. That had always been my weakness. After Robert died, I'd made it my mission to keep the peace. David was grieving. I was grieving. I didn't want more conflict. Didn't want to be the difficult mother, the suspicious one. So I'd signed, smiled, hugged him, told him I appreciated him looking out for me. Now sitting in my driveway, I wondered what I'd actually signed. I went inside. The house was quiet, too quiet. I made tea, forgot to drink it. The cup sat on the kitchen counter cooling. I pulled out the photo album I'd been making for the funeral display. Mr. Hammond had suggested it. Personal photos make the service more meaningful, he'd said. I'd been selecting pictures all week. David as a baby, David's first day of school, David at his college graduation, David at his first wedding. At what point had the smiling boy in these photos become someone who'd calculate casket costs? Who'd say she'll be dead, like it was a foregone conclusion? Who'd plan to profit from my funeral? My phone rang. Linda, my neighbor. We'd lived next door to each other for 15 years. Margaret, you home? I made too much tuna casserole again. Want some? Linda always made too much. It was her way of checking on people, watching out for the neighborhood. From her kitchen window, she could see everyone's comings and goings. Come on over, I said. She arrived 5 minutes later, casserole dish in hand, already talking. Linda was 70, a widow like me, sharp as ever. We'd met at book club 12 years ago. Mysteries. She loved mysteries. How was your day? She asked, setting the dish on my counter. Fine, I said automatically. She looked at me, really looked. You're a terrible liar, Margaret, I almost told her. Almost said, I heard my son planning my funeral today, calculating profit margins on my death. But I couldn't, not yet. It sounded insane. Just tired, I said. Linda nodded. Didn't push? That was the thing about good friends. They knew when to wait. Book club Thursday, she asked. Wouldn't miss it. After she left, I sat at my kitchen table, thought about Robert Chen, my financial advisor. I'd been working with him for 15 years. Trusted him. He'd help me plan my retirement, manage my accounts after Robert died. Robert Chen was meticulous, always early to meetings, always brought 2 coffees, one for me, one for him, asked detailed questions, took careful notes. Last quarterly review, he'd mentioned something. If you ever need to add David to any accounts, let's discuss it first. Family access can be complicated. I hadn't thought much of it then. Now I wondered, had I added David to my accounts? Had those documents I'd signed done something I didn't understand? I needed to call Robert Chen, get answers, but it was Tuesday evening. His office was closed. Tomorrow, I call. Tomorrow, I looked at the photo album again. David at 10 years old, holding up his first fish at the lake cabin. Huge grin. I love you, Mom, he'd shouted. That boy felt like a stranger now. I sat there for a long time. The kitchen grew dark. I didn't turn on the lights. My phone buzzed. Text message from David. Hey, Mom, hope you had a nice lunch with Linda. Talk soon, love you. He didn't know I'd been at the funeral home. Didn't know I'd heard him. I stared at the text. Love you? Did he love me? Or did he love my life insurance policy? I didn't respond. I needed to know the truth. Needed to understand what once the poa kicks in meant. Tomorrow, I'd start looking for answers. But tonight I just sat in my dark kitchen looking at photos of a child who didn't exist anymore and wondering when exactly I'd lost my son. Wednesday morning, coffee on the back porch, crossword puzzle, birds at the feeder, same routine, but I couldn't focus on the clues. My mind kept circling back to David's voice. Once the PA kicks in, I needed to find those documents, the ones I'd signed 6 months ago. After breakfast, I went to my filing cabinet. I kept everything organized. Tax returns, insurance papers, medical records, a lifetime of documents all labeled and filed. Estate planning should be in the front section. I pulled the folder empty. No, not empty. There was a sticky note in David's handwriting. Move to safe storage. Don't worry, I have copies. I stood there holding the empty folder, safe storage. Where I checked my desk? Nothing. Searched the drawer where I kept important papers? Nothing. Then I noticed something, another folder pushed to the back of the bottom drawer. No label. I pulled it out, opened it. Documents, multiple copies, same documents but different versions. Power of attorney Ujatu, different waiting Boyko Menk. Power of attorney Rajavtu. Signition, line still blank. Power of attorney, final. My signature, but I only remembered signing once, not multiple drafts. I sat down, read through them carefully. The wording was different. Draft 1 said the PA would activate upon incapacity as determined by 2 physicians. The final version said, activated upon signing, with full authority over all financial and legal matters. Active immediately, not upon incapacity. That meant David had authority over my accounts right now. Today, this moment, I felt something cold settle in my chest. I went to my computer, look into my online banking, or try to password I'd used for 10 years. Robert Chen had helped me set it up secure. Memorable. Password incorrect. 3 attempts remaining before account lockout. I stopped, picked up my phone, called the bank. The automated system connected me to a representative, young woman's voice, professional. Valley First Bank? This is Melissa. How can I help you? I can't access my online account, I said. My password isn't working. Let me look that up for you. Account holder name, Margaret Smith, keyboard clicking. Okay, Mrs. Smith, I see here that your password was changed last week for security purposes. I didn't change my password, more clicking. It shows here the change was made by your authorized power of attorney representative. It would be David Smith? Is that your son? My hand tightened on the phone. He changed my password? Oh, yes, ma'am. Last Wednesday, he called saying you've been having trouble access the account. Identity theft concerns. He updated the security settings for you. I sat there silent. Mrs. Smith? Are you still there? Yes, thank you. I hung up. Identity theft concerns. David had told them I was having trouble, that I needed protection. He'd locked me out of my own account. I needed to talk to him, needed to understand. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was overreacting. I called his cell phone. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, Mom, what's up? David, I tried to access my bank account today. My password doesn't work. Pause. Oh yeah, I meant to tell you about that. You changed my password? Mom, it's for your protection. There's been a lot of identity theft targeting seniors lately. I updated your security settings, made everything safer. His voice was smooth, reasonable, like he was explaining something simple to someone who didn't understand. I didn't ask you to do that, I said. You don't have to ask. That's what the PA is for, so I can help you manage things. Make sure you're protected. I can manage my own accounts. Another pause longer this time. Can you, though? His tone shifted. Gentle, concern. Mom, you forgot Aunt Carol's birthday last month. You called me 3 times asking where you put your glasses. Last week you couldn't remember if you'd taken your blood pressure medication. I felt something twist in my stomach. Those things were true. Small forgetfulness, normal for anyone my age. But he was making them sound like something else. Like evidence. I don't need someone else managing my money, I said. I know you don't want to admit it, but you're 68. Things get harder, memory slips. I'm just trying to help you before something bad happens. There it was, that tone, sympathetic, patronizing, gaslighting. I taught high school for 40 years. I knew manipulation when I heard it. I want my password, I said. Mom, I want my password, David, today. Silence then. I'll text it to you, but I really think you should let me handle this. It's what's best. Text it to me. I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger, quiet, deep anger. He made me doubt myself, made those small memory lapses sound like incompetence, like I couldn't be trusted with my own life. The doorbell rang. Linda, holding a plate of cookies this time. Saw your car in the driveway. Thought you might want company. I almost said no. Almost told her I was fine, but I wasn't fine. Come in, I said. We sat at the kitchen table. Linda poured coffee, waited. Something's wrong, I said finally. I figured. I told her not everything but enough. The funeral home, the overhead conversation, the documents I'd signed, the password change. Linda's face grew serious. She set down her coffee cup. Margaret, my sister went through something similar 3 years ago. I looked at her. Her son, Linda continued, started helping with her finances. Said he was protecting her, then he was moving money, changing accounts. By the time we figured it out, he'd taken nearly everything. She died in a state nursing home, the cheapest one. He pocketed her long-term care insurance money. I felt cold. Linda, I'm not saying David is doing that, but those are the warning signs. The password change? The paw you don't remember authorizing, the way he's making you doubt yourself? She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. You need to check, really check, what he's done with those documents, what access he has, before it's too late. After she left, I sat at the table for a long time. My phone buzzed. Text from David? Password is Smith 2024. Sorry for the confusion, Mom, just trying to help, love you. I stared at the message. Tomorrow I call Robert Chen, my financial advisor. Ask him to pull up my accounts, show me exactly what David had access to. I needed to see the truth, whatever it was. Because Linda's words kept echoing, before it's too late. Thursday morning, I called Robert Chen's office the moment they opened. Valley Financial Planning, this is Robert. Robert, it's Margaret Smith. I need to see you today. It's urgent. Pause. Robert was always calm, measured, but I heard something shift in his voice. Is everything all right? I don't know. That's what I need you to help me figure out. I can see you at 10. Does that work? I'll be there. Robert Chen had been my financial advisor for 15 years after my husband died. He'd helped me navigate insurance policies, retirement accounts, estate planning. He was 55, meticulous, the kind of person who color-coded his file folders and arrived 10 minutes early to every meeting. His office was in a small professional building downtown, same building as my dentist. I'd been here dozens of times. It felt safe, familiar. Robert was waiting in the lobby when I arrived, 2 coffee cups in his hands, one for me, one for him. His ritual. Margaret, he handed me the coffee, gestured toward his office. Come in. The office smelled like paper and coffee. Bookshelves lined one wall. Financial planning guides, tax code references. A photo of his parents on his desk. They'd immigrated from Taiwan when he was young. He told me once, family comes first, but protect yourself first. You can't help anyone if you're vulnerable. I sat across from his desk. He opened his laptop, waited. 6 months ago, I said, David brought me estate planning documents, power of attorney. I signed them, but I'm not sure what I signed. Robert's expression didn't change, but his fingers stopped moving on the keyboard. What's happened? I told him. Not the funeral home conversation that still felt too raw, but the password change, the documents I'd found. The way David had made me doubt myself. Robert listened, took notes, then he turned his laptop toward me. Let me pull up your accounts. He typed, clicked, waited for the screen to load, then he went very still. Margaret, he said quietly, when did David become a joint owner on your savings account? I leaned forward. Looked at the screen there. It was my savings account, Valley First Bank balance, $180,000 and under account holders, Margaret A. Smith, David M. Smith, joint ownership. I didn't make him a joint owner, I said. Robert clicked to the account history, scrolled. This was changed 3 months ago, April 15th. Sign with your power of attorney. My hands went cold. The coffee cup felt slippery in my grip. What does joint ownership mean? I asked, though I knew I just needed to hear it. It means he has full access. He can withdraw anything, transfer funds, close the account, without your permission, without even notifying you. The room felt smaller, warmer. Has he withdrawn anything? Robert clicked through transaction history. His jaw tightened. $15,000 in June, $10,000 in July, another $10,000 in August. I counted $35,000. Yes. Where did it go? More clicking. Transfer to an account I don't have access to. It shows as eternal transfer on your records. I need to subpoena bank records to see the destination account. I sat there looking at the screen. My son's name right next to mine. On money I'd saved for 40 years. Teaching summer school, grading papers till midnight. Living carefully, saving steadily, and he'd just taken it. I realized I was shaking. Robert handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I needed one until that moment. I'm sorry, I said. Don't apologize. His voice was firm, professional, but kind. This isn't your fault. He stopped. Chose his words carefully. This is a red flag, Margaret, a serious one. I took a breath. What else? What do you mean? If he did this, what else might he have done? Robert nodded slowly. Let me check everything. He spent the next 20 minutes pulling up accounts. Brokerage, retirement, life insurance. With each screen, his expression grew grimmer. Your brokerage account, beneficiary was set to a trust for educational purposes. It's been changed. David Smith is now primary beneficiary. That was changed 2 months ago. I felt numb. Your life insurance policy through your teacher's retirement, same thing. Beneficiary changed from estate to David Smith directly 3 months ago. Can he do that? With power of attorney? Yes. Legally, he has the authority to make financial decisions on your behalf. The question is whether he's making them in your interest or his interest. Robert pulled up another document. Clicked read, his expression darkened. Margaret, there's something else. I'm seeing electronic signatures on several of these documents, but… He turned the screen toward me. This doesn't look like your signature. He showed me a beneficiary change form. My signature at the bottom. Except it wasn't my signature. It looked traced, shaky, the loops were wrong. I didn't sign that, I said. Robert's voice was very quiet. I didn't think so. He printed the documents, handed them to me. Margaret, I need you to understand something. What David has done, changing accounts, forging signatures, withdrawing funds without authorization. First, this is financial elder abuse. It's illegal. It's fraud. The words felt unreal. Elder abuse? My son, there's more. Robert said. He looked uncomfortable. I need to tell you something. At your last quarterly review 6 months ago, I mentioned to you, if you ever need to add David to any accounts, let's discuss it first. Do you remember? I nodded. I said that because David had called me 2 weeks before, asked about your account balances, your retirement funds, life insurance. He said he was helping you with estate planning and needed information. What did you tell him? Nothing. I told him I couldn't discuss your accounts with anyone but you. He got irritated, said you'd authorized him. I said he'd need to bring documentation. Robert paused. That's when he brought you those power of attorney papers, isn't it? The timeline clicked into place? David hadn't brought those papers to help me. He brought them to get access Robert had denied him. What do? I asked. Robert closed his laptop, looked at me directly. You need an attorney, not a financial advisor. An attorney who specializes in elder law. This is beyond my expertise. I can document what's happened financially, but you need legal protection now. He wrote a name on his notepad, tore off the sheet, handed it to me. Susan Martinez, elder law specialist. She's excellent. Tell her I sent you. I looked at the name, the phone number. There's one more thing, Robert said. He pulled up another screen. I cross-referenced your withdrawal dates with some database I have access to. The timing is concerning. He showed me a chart, my withdrawals in one column, in another column, dates and amounts. These match the dates and amounts of large casino transactions in Atlantic City. Same amounts, same days. I felt sick. David's gambling? I can't prove it's him, but the correlation is suspicious. 15,000 withdrawn June 3rd, 15,000 in chips purchased at Borgata Casino June 4th, same pattern in July and August. Gambling, the money I'd saved for retirement, for emergencies, for security, he gambled it away. I remembered something David had mentioned last year, casually a weekend trip to Atlantic City with Jessica. Just for fun, he'd said. I know when to stop? Apparently not. I drove home in silence, didn't turn on the radio, needed to hear my own thoughts, needed to understand what my son had become. At home, I spread all the documents across my kitchen table. Bank statements, beneficiary forms, forged signatures, casino transaction dates, evidence. That's what Robert had called it. Evidence. I picked up my phone, dialed the number Robert had given me. Martinez Law, how can I help you? I need to speak with Susan Martinez. It's about financial elder abuse. Robert Chen referred me. One moment, please. A woman's voice came on the line, professional, clear. This is Susan Martinez. Miss Martinez, my name is Margaret Smith. My financial advisor, Robert Chen, suggested I call you. My son has. I stopped. The words felt impossible. My son has been stealing from me. Silence. Then, Mrs. Smith, can you come to my office tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock? Yes. Bring any documents you have, bank statements, power of attorney, anything that shows what's been happening. I will. Mrs. Smith, one more thing. Don't tell your son you're meeting with an attorney, not yet. Can you do that? I thought about David's text yesterday. Love you. Yes, I said, I can do that. After I hung up, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time. Documents spread in front of me, numbers and signatures and dates, $35,000, forged signatures, changed beneficiaries, gambling debts. My son hadn't just planned my funeral while I was still alive. He'd been planning to profit from my life, my death, whichever came first. I looked at the documents one more time, picked up a pen, started making a list. Evidence 1, joint account, $35,000 stolen. Evidence 2, forged signatures on beneficiary forms. Evidence 3, Casino transactions matching withdrawal dates. Evidence 4. Power of attorney activated immediately, not upon incapacity. Tomorrow I meet with the attorney, show her everything, but tonight I needed to understand one thing clearly. This wasn't about me being old or forgetful or needing help. This was about my son seeing me as money, and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Friday morning, I didn't go straight to Susan Martinez's office. I drove to the lake cabin instead. The cabin had been in Robert's family, a small place on Lake Hopatcom, 2 bedrooms, a dock, trees all around. We'd spent every summer there when David was young. After Robert died, I kept it paid the property taxes, kept it maintained. It was the one thing I couldn't let go. I hadn't been there in 6 months, not since David had asked me to sign those papers. The drive took 40 minutes. Trees thick with October color, red, gold, orange, the same trees I'd driven past for 35 years. I pulled into the gravel driveway. The cabin looked smaller than I remembered. Paint peeling slightly. The dock needed repairs, but it was still standing. Still here. I unlocked the door. Inside smelled like wood and lake water. Dust motes floated in the morning light through the windows. I brought the photo album, the one I'd been making for the funeral display, and all the documents from Robert's office. The evidence, I spread them out on the kitchen table. Then I stopped, picked everything up, walked outside to the dock. The morning was cool, quiet. Water lapped against the wooden posts. A few leaves floated on the surface. The lake stretched out, mirrors smooth. I sat on the edge of the dock, let my feet hang over the water, opened the photo album first. There David at 10 years old, standing on this dock, holding up a fish. Huge grin, his first catch. He'd been so proud, I remembered that morning. The way he'd woken me at dawn. Mom, can we fish please? His excitement, his energy. I'd been tired. I taught summer school all week, graded essays till midnight, but I'd gotten up. Made coffee, found the fishing poles. We'd sat right here, side by side, casting into the water. He'd been patient, focused. When the line tugged, his whole face lit up. I got one. Mom, I got one. I'd helped him reel it in a bass. Not huge, but respectable. He'd held it up. I'd taken the photo, the one I was looking at now. I love you, Mom, he'd shouted. Just pure joy, pure love. That boy felt like someone from a different lifetime. I set the photo album aside, picked up the documents, forged signatures, $35,000 stolen. Joint account access? The same hands that had held that fish had signed my name without permission, had taken my retirement savings, had calculated how much my funeral would cost, and decided the cheapest option was better because it meant more inheritance. When had he changed? Was there a specific moment? Or had it been gradual? Small choices, small compromises. Until one day he woke up and saw his mother as money instead of a person. I'd been so focused on keeping the peace after Robert died, I made that my mission. Don't rock the boat. Don't create conflict. David was grieving. I was grieving. Better to stay quiet. Better to say yes. Better to be the easy mother. The understanding one. I'd signed those papers without reading them because I didn't want David to think I didn't trust him. But I should have questioned, should have asked, should have protected myself. That was my mistake. Confusing trust with enabling, confusing love with letting myself be used. I looked at the water. The same water where I taught him to swim. Right here he'd been 5, scared of going under. I'd held him, showed him how to float, how to move his arms, how to trust the water to hold him. I've got you, I'd said. I won't let you go, and I hadn't. For 45 years, I hadn't let go. I'd held on, supported him, caught him every time he fell, but he'd let go of me years ago probably, and I'd been too busy being supportive to notice. I sat there for a long time, just me, the lake, the morning sun warming the dock. The boy in the photo album, the one with the fish, the huge smile, the pure joy. I would always love that boy. That was my son, the one I'd raised, the one I'd sacrificed for, but the man who forged my signature, who stole $35,000, who planned my funeral for profit. I didn't know that man. I don't think I ever had, and I couldn't keep pretending I did. I spent 68 years being kind, being understanding, avoiding conflict, keeping the peace. But some peace isn't worth keeping. Some peace is just surrender. Dressed up as virtue, real peace requires boundaries. Real love includes protecting, it said. Her sister, how the son had taken everything, how she died in a state nursing home alone. Broke, I thought about Robert's face when he pulled up my accounts. The tightness in his jaw. This is financial elder abuse. I thought about David's voice through the funeral home wall. She'll be dead. She won't know the difference. I wasn't being paranoid. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't a confused old woman who didn't understand modern estate planning. I was being stolen from systematically by my own son, and I had a choice. I could keep quiet, keep the peace, sign over everything and hope he'd treat me well in my final years, hope he'd choose a decent nursing home, hope he'd visit sometimes or I could fight back. Not with yelling, not with drama, not with confrontation at family gatherings, but with lawyers, with banks, with legal systems designed to protect people like me, with evidence, with documentation, with professional support. I picked up my phone, called Robert Chen. Margaret, everything okay? Robert, I need you to freeze my accounts, all of them today. Pause. Are you sure? I'm sure. David doesn't get another dollar, not one. I'll need to coordinate with the bank, file paperwork. It'll take a few hours. However long it takes, do it. Margaret, he's going to know. The moment he tries to access anything, he'll be denied. He'll call you, probably angry. Let him call. Another pause then. Okay, I'll start the process now. Your meeting with Susan Martinez. Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Good. She'll help you navigate the legal side. I'll document everything on the financial side. Between the two of us, we'll build a case. After I hung up, I sat on the dock a while longer. I thought about my classroom, 40 years teaching English, teaching kids to think critically, to question, to not accept things at face value just because an authority figure said so. I've been a good teacher. I taught hundreds of students to stand up for themselves, to use their voices to recognize manipulation. And then I gone home and let my own son manipulate me, not anymore. I gathered the documents, the photo album, stood up, looked at the lake one more time, the water, the trees, the dock where I taught my son to fish, to swim. To be honest, some things you teach, some things you hope stick, sometimes they don't. I walked back to the cabin, locked the door, got in my car. I wasn't the same woman who'd driven here 2 hours ago. That woman had been uncertain, conflicted, guilty about suspecting her own son. This woman driving home, she knew the truth, accepted it, and had a plan. David could call, could get angry, could cry, could guilt trip, could gaslight. It wouldn't work anymore because I wasn't losing my son. I'd lost him years ago, maybe decades ago. Now I was just protecting myself, and that wasn't cruel. That wasn't unforgiving. That wasn't the act of a paranoid old woman. That was survival. Monday morning, 9 o'clock, I arrived at Susan Martinez's office 10 minutes early. The building was downtown. Professional offices, attorney names on the directory. Martinez Law, 3rd floor. The waiting room was small. Neat certificates on the wall. Elder Law Stenist. New Jersey Bar Association. A photo of Susan with an older woman, for mother maybe, both smiling. Mrs. Smith, a woman, appeared in the doorway. 45, sharp eyes, dark suit, professional. I'm Susan Martinez, come in. Her office was organized, color-coded files, legal pads with notes in 3 different pen colors. She gestured to a chair across from her desk. Tell me what's happened. I did everything. The funeral home, the documents, the bank accounts, the 4 signatures, the casino transactions. Robert's findings. Susan took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she set down her pen. Mrs. Smith, what your son has done is financial exploitation of an elderly person. It's a criminal offense in New Jersey. It's also civil fraud. The words felt heavy. Criminal fraud? I don't want to send him to jail, I said. I just want him to stop. I understand. But you need to understand something. The bank is required by law to report suspected elder financial abuse. Once they see the account freeze, they'll investigate. They may file a report regardless of what you want. I hadn't thought about that. What do? First, we document everything. Second, we file a protective order to prevent further access to your accounts. Third, we prepare for his response because he will respond. How? Susan's expression was knowing. When people lose access to money they thought was theirs, they escalate. He'll call, he'll be angry, or he'll try manipulation, guilt, tears. Whatever works. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Text from David. Susan noticed. Is that him? I looked at the screen. Yes. May I see it? I handed her my phone. She read aloud. Mom, my card was declined at the grocery store. Did something happen with the accounts? Call me ASAP. This is embarrassing. Susan handed back my phone. That's the beginning. He's testing, seeing if you'll respond. Should I? Not yet. Let him wonder. We need to move quickly. She opened her laptop, started typing. I'm filing an emergency motion to freeze all financial instruments, bank accounts, brokerage, life insurance, everything. It'll take 48 hours to process. My phone buzzed again. Another text. Mom, Seriously, what's going on? I can't access the accounts. Did the bank make a mistake? Susan glanced at my phone. Ignore it? He's escalating? She was right. 3 more texts came in rapid succession. Mom, please call me. I'm worried about you. Are you okay? Why aren't you answering? I turned my phone face down on her desk. Susan finished typing, printed something, handed me a document. This is what I'm filing. Emergency Protective Order. It prevents David from accessing, transferring, or modifying any of your financial accounts or legal documents. Read it, sign if you agree. I read through it. Legal language, but clear enough. My accounts, my control, David removed from everything. I signed. What happens now? Court will review within 48 hours. In the meantime, don't engage with David. Don't answer calls or texts. Don't see him in person. He'll try every angle. Stay firm. I nodded. There's one more thing. Susan pulled up something on her computer, frowned. I ran a routine court records search on your name, Mrs. Smith. Did you know David filed a guardianship petition 2 weeks ago? The room felt cold. What? A petition for legal guardianship claiming you're unable to manage your own affairs due to cognitive decline, dementia? I couldn't breathe. He's trying to have me declared incompetent. Yes, there's a hearing scheduled, 10 days from now. 10 days. If the court grants guardianship, David becomes your legal guardian. He'd have complete control over all your finances, medical decisions, living arrangements, everything. I felt sick. Can he do that? Not if we fight it, and we will. I'll file an objection immediately. We'll need a letter from your doctor confirming you're mentally competent. Can you get that? Yes, my doctor, Dr. Patterson. I've been seeing her for 20 years. Call her today. Explain the situation. We need that letter by Friday at the latest. My phone started ringing. David. Susan looked at it. Don't answer. Let me handle this. But I couldn't stop staring at the screen. David's name, his photo, a picture from 2 years ago, him and Jessica at their wedding, smiling. Had he been planning this even then? Was the whole wedding just strategy? The phone stopped ringing, went to voicemail. 30 seconds later it rang again. Turn my phone off. You don't need to hear whatever he's going to say, trust me. We spent the next hour going through documents. Susan photographed everything, made copies, built what she called the case file, bank statements, forged signatures, POA documents, casino transaction correlations, Robert's analysis. If this goes to court, you'll win. The question is whether David backs down before it gets there. What do you think he'll do? Depends on how desperate he is, how much he needs the money, how much control matters to him. She paused, looked at me directly. Mrs. Smith, I need you to prepare for the possibility that your son is going to say terrible things about you, about your mental state. He's going to try to convince people, maybe even family members, that you're confused, paranoid, being manipulated by outsiders. That's standard playbook for financial abusers when they're caught. I thought about Jessica, David's wife. Would she believe him? Would she help him? What about distant relatives? Cousins I saw once a year at Christmas. I don't have much family left, I said. Robert's side are all out of state. My sister died 10 years ago. Then it's just David making noise. That's manageable. After I left Susan's office, I sat in my car for a long time, turned my phone back on 17 missed calls, 8 text messages. I scrolled through them. The tone shifted as they went on. First text, concerned. Mom, what's wrong? Call me. Middle text, frustrated. Why are you ignoring me? This isn't funny. Last text, angry. I know what you're doing. You're being manipulated. This is a mistake. Call me now. I didn't call. Instead, I drove to my doctor's office, walked in without an appointment. Mrs. Smith? The receptionist looked surprised. Is everything okay? I need to see Dr. Patterson. It's urgent. 20 minutes later, I was in Dr. Patterson's office explaining the situation. She listened, made notes, then shook her head. Margaret, you're one of the sharpest patients I have. Your cognition is perfect. Your memory is excellent. This guardianship petition is baseless. Can you write that in a letter? Absolutely. I'll have it ready tomorrow. I'll also include your recent physical exam results. Blood pressure normal. Cholesterol managed. Relief washed over me. Thank you, Margaret, Dr. Patterson said gently. I'm sorry you're going through this. Financial abuse by family members is more common than people think. You're doing the right thing protecting yourself. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway, David's car. He was sitting on my front porch waiting. I considered driving away, going to Linda's house, calling Susan. But this was my house, my home for 30 years. I wasn't going to be driven away from it. I parked, got out, walked toward the porch. David stood up. Mom, finally I've been trying to reach you all day, I know. What's going on? Why are the accounts frozen? Why can't I access anything? Because I froze them. He looked genuinely confused or good at pretending. Why would you do that? Because you've been stealing from me, David. $35,000. Casino transactions, forged signatures, joint ownership I never authorized. His face changed for just a second. Something flickered there. Recognition. Then it smoothed out again. Mom, no, you don't understand. I was managing things for you. That's what the paw is for. Those weren't unauthorized. You signed the documents. I signed documents I didn't read carefully. That doesn't give you permission to forge my signature on other things, or take money for gambling. Gambling, he laughed. Mom, I don't gamble. Where did you get that idea? Robert Chen, my financial advisor. He matched withdrawal dates to casino transactions, same amounts, same days. David's jaw tightened. Robert Chen is filling your head with paranoid nonsense. He's always been suspicious of me. He's never liked me. He has evidence, bank records, forged documents. I've seen them. Those are misunderstandings. Errors, Mom, you're 68. Things are getting harder for you. I'm trying to help and you're... Stop. My voice was firm. I'm not confused. I'm not paranoid, and I'm not going to stand here and listen to you gaslight me. He stepped closer. Mom, listen to yourself. This isn't you. Someone's manipulating you. That attorney, Susan Martinez, she's probably charging you hundreds of dollars an hour to turn you against your own son. She's protecting me from theft. There's a difference. I'm your son. I would never steal from you. Then explain the $35,000. He opened his mouth, closed it, started again. I was going to pay it back. I had some financial issues, temporary. I was going to replace it before you even noticed. When? Soon I just needed... He stopped. Realized what he'd admitted. We stood there, mother and son, looking at each other. I heard you, I said quietly. At the funeral home, Chapes Casket. More inheritance for us. She'll be dead. I heard every word. David went pale. You planned my funeral, I continued, like a budget meeting, like I was already gone, like you were waiting for me to die so you could profit. Mom, I didn't mean that wasn't. Get off my porch. Mom, get off my porch, David. Right now, he stood there for a long moment. I thought he might refuse, might argue, might try one more manipulation. Then he turned, walked to his car before getting in. He looked back. You're making a mistake. You'll regret this. My attorney will contact you about the guardianship petition. Drop it. He got in his car, drove away. I went inside, locked the door, sat on my couch. My hands were shaking. But not from fear, from adrenaline, from anger, from relief. I'd stood up to him, set boundaries, and I'd done it calmly, firmly, without yelling, without breaking down. My phone buzzed. Text from Linda next door. Saw David's car. You okay? Come over if you need to. I texted back, I'm okay, thank you. Another buzz. Email this time. From Robert Chen. Margaret, update. Bank has filed a suspicious activity report with authorities regarding David's transactions. They've also flagged his name in their fraud prevention system. Your accounts are secure. Call me tomorrow and we'll review everything. Robert. So it was done. The bank knew, the attorney knew, Dr. Patterson knew. David couldn't touch my money anymore, couldn't forge my signature, couldn't manipulate my accounts. But the guardianship petition, that was still looming. 10 days until the hearing. If he won that, none of the rest mattered. He'd have complete control. I couldn't let that happen. I picked up my phone, called Susan Martinez. Mrs. Smith, everything okay? David came to my house. He knows about everything. How did he react? Denial first, then manipulation, then threats. I told him to leave. Good. Did he threaten violence? No, just said I'd regret it. Typical. The guardianship petition, that's his last play. If he can get the court to declare you incompetent, he gets control back. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. What do we do? Dr. Patterson's letter, that's critical. And I'll prepare our counter-filing. We'll show the court exactly why this petition is fraudulent. The evidence you have, the forgeries, the theft, the casino transactions, that all works in our favor. It shows David's motivation isn't protecting you, it's controlling your money. When will we know? The hearing is in 10 days. We'll present our case. The judge will decide. But Margaret, you have truth on your side. That counts for something. After we hung up, I made tea, sat at my kitchen table, looked at the photo album still sitting there from Friday. David at 10, smiling, holding up that fish. I closed the album, put it away in a drawer. Some memories you keep, some you need to let go. Right now I needed to focus forward on the hearing. I'm protecting myself. I'm making sure that 10 days from now I was still in control of my own life. Because David had made his choice. He'd chosen money over his mother. Now I had to choose survival over sentiment, and that was exactly what I was going to do. The hearing was scheduled for 10 days out. But 3 days later, Susan Martinez called. Mrs. Smith, David's attorney contacted me. They want to settle mediation tomorrow afternoon. Mediation. Rather than go to court, we'd sit down with a neutral mediator, present evidence, try to reach an agreement. It's less formal than a courtroom, but just as legally binding. What does that mean? It means David knows he's going to lose. The guardianship petition is weak. We have Dr. Patterson's letter. We have evidence of his theft. He's trying to avoid a public court case. Should I do it? Susan paused. That's your decision. But yes, I think you should. It gives us control over the outcome. And it's faster. We can resolve this tomorrow instead of waiting for a court date. Okay, where? My office? 2 o'clock. I've arranged for a mediator. David will be there with his attorney. I'll be with you. Will I have to talk to him? Yes, but I'll be right there. And the mediator will keep things professional. He can't yell. Can't threaten. It's a controlled environment. After we hung up, I called Robert Chen. Told him about the mediation. Like you to be there, I said, as a witness. You have all the financial evidence. Of course, I'll bring everything, Margaret. You're doing the right thing. The next day, I arrived at Susan's office at 1:30 early. Needed time to prepare. Susan met me in the lobby. Ready? No, but let's do it anyway. We went to the conference room. Large table windows overlooking downtown. Professional, neutral. The mediator was already there. A man in his 60s, calm demeanor. He introduced himself as Michael Chen, no relation to Robert. He clarified with a slight smile. Mrs. Smith, I'm here to facilitate, not to judge. Both sides will present their positions. We'll try to find common ground. My goal is a fair resolution. Understood. I nodded. Robert arrived, set his briefcase on the table, gave me a reassuring nod. Then the door opened. David walked in with a woman in a business suit. His attorney, presumably Jessica, wasn't with him. David looked tired, thinner than I remembered. Dark circles under his eyes. He glanced at me, looked away quickly. We all sat, David and his attorney on one side, me, Susan, and Robert on the other. The mediator at the head of the table. Michael Chen opened a folder. We're here to discuss the guardianship petition filed by David Smith regarding his mother, Margaret Smith, and allegations of financial impropriety. Let's start by, can I speak to my mother? David interrupted. Alone? Just for a minute? Susan started to object. I put my hand on her arm. It's okay. Just a minute. Susan looked at me. Are you sure? Yes. Everyone filed out. Susan gave me a look that said, I'm right outside if you need me. The door closed. David and I were alone. He stood by the window, back to me, silent. David, I said. He turned. His eyes were red. Mom, I'm sorry. For what specifically? Oh, for all of it. The money. The documents, the funeral home. He rubbed his face. I heard what you said, that you were there, that you heard me. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. How did you mean it? He sat down. Across from me. No table between us now, just space. I was desperate. The gambling got out of control after the divorce. I kept thinking I could win it back. Fix everything before anyone noticed. But I just kept losing. $35,000. More than that. Total debt is $80,000. The $35,000 I took from you went straight to creditors, to keep them from suing, from telling Jessica. Does Jessica know? Not everything. She knows about the gambling, not about you, not about what I did. We sat in silence. I heard you at the funeral home, I said quietly. You said cheapest casket, like I was already gone, like you were waiting for me to die. His voice cracked. I know. You forged my signature. Changed my accounts, stole my money, guardianship petition, claiming I have dementia. I know. Do you understand what you've done? He looked up, tears on his face, real tears, not manipulation, just grief. I treated you like an app, like money, not like my mother, I know, and I hate myself for it. The door opened. Susan stuck her head in. Everything okay? Yes, I said, we're ready. Everyone came back, sat down. The mediator opened his folder again. Let's proceed, Mrs. Smith. Your attorney has filed objections to the guardianship petition. She's also made allegations of fine. Actually, Mr. Chen, we're prepared to withdraw the guardianship petition immediately. Susan blinked, surprised. Excuse me, my client acknowledges that the petition was ill-advised, tile in haste. Mrs. Smith is clearly competent. We're withdrawing it. Michael Chen made a note. Very well, that addresses the guardianship issue. What about the financial matters? Slid them across the table. Mrs. Smith has evidence of financial exploitation. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals totaling $35,000, forged signatures on beneficiary documents. Babbitt's attorney looked at the documents. Her expression tightened. We'd like to call witnesses, Susan continued. Mr. Robert Chen, Mrs. Smith's financial advisor. Robert stood, professional, calm. He'd done this before. Mr. Chen, please describe what you found when Mrs. Smith asked you to review her accounts. Robert pulled up his laptop, connected it to the monitor on the wall. Numbers appeared, charts, Chen histories. 3 months ago, David Smith was added as joint owner to Mrs. Smith's primary savings account. Balance at that time, $180,000. Over the following months, 3 large withdrawals were made. $15,000 in June, $10,000 in July, $10,000 in August. Total $35,000, all transferred to an external account. Did Mrs. Smith authorize these withdrawals? No, she had no knowledge of them until I showed her the records. Did she authorize David Smith to be added as joint owner? No. That was done electronically using power of attorney authorization, but Mrs. Smith never intended to give David unrestricted access to her funds. Susan nodded. What else did you find? Beneficiary changes on her brokerage account and life insurance policy. Both changed from estate or trust designations to David Smith as direct beneficiary, with forged electronic signatures. David's attorney leaned forward. Objection, you can't prove those signatures were forged. Robert pulled up another slide. Side-by-side comparison, Margaret's real signature. The electronic signature is traced. The loops are wrong. The pressure points don't match. Mrs. Smith's actual signature has distinctive characteristics. These don't have them. The room was silent. One more thing, Robert said. He pulled up a final chart. I cross-referenced withdrawal dates with publicly available casino transaction data. The amounts and dates match large chip purchases at Atlantic City casinos. Same amounts next day, timing. The correlation is 98%. David stared at the table. Susan called her second witness. We'd also like testimony from James Hammond, funeral director at Riverside Funeral Home. We'd arranged this ahead of time. Mr. Hammond was on speakerphone. Mr. Hammond, did David Smith visit your funeral home 2 weeks ago? Yes, he scheduled a consultation about pre-need arrangements. For whom? He said for his mother, Margaret Smith. But Mrs. Smith wasn't present. What did he want to do? He wanted to modify the existing prepaid arrangement Mrs. Smith had established, change it from a traditional service, a basic cremation, cost $3,000. He requested the $9,000 difference be refunded to him personally. Did Mrs. Smith authorize this? No, I contacted Mrs. Smith later to verify. She had no knowledge of the change. She wanted her original arrangement maintained. Susan thanked him, ended the call. She turned to the mediator. We have 3 additional confirmations. Bank Fraud Department filed a suspicious activity report, and Police Financial Crimes Unit opened an investigation based on the bank's report. David's attorney looked at her client, whispered something. Michael Chen folded his hands. Mr. Smith, would you like to respond to these allegations? David looked at me, then at the mediator. It's all true, everything they said. I took the money, I forged the signatures. I tried to change the funeral arrangements. His voice was flat, empty. I was drowning in debt, gambling. I thought I could fix it, use Mom's money temporarily, pay it back before she knew, but I couldn't stop, and then it was too late. His attorney put her hand on his arm, trying to stop him, but he kept going. The guardianship petition, that was desperation. I thought if I could prove she needed help, I could regain control, fix everything. But there's nothing to fix. I stole from my mother, that's the truth. The mediator made notes. Mrs. Smith, what outcome are you seeking? I looked at David, at my son, 45 years old, crying broken. I want my money back, all of it. I want my account secured. I want him removed from everything, and I want a legal boundary. 1 year minimum, no contact. Time for both of us to process. Do you want criminal charges filed? I thought about that, about David in jail, about the shame, the public record. Not if he pays restitution and gets help. Real help. Gamblers Anonymous isn't enough. Theft, inch treatment, supervised. David nodded. I'll do whatever you want. I'll pay everything back. I'll get help. Michael Chen looked at both attorneys. Can we draft an agreement? They spent the next hour working out details. Susan and David's attorney typing on laptops, going back and forth, negotiating. Finally, Susan slid a document across to me. This is the settlement agreement. Read it carefully. I read through it. Legal language, but clear enough David would. Repay $42,000, $35K stolen plus $9K funeral refund, minus $2K in transfer fees. Payment plan $500 per month for 7 years. Payments monitored by the court. Resign all powers of attorney immediately. Drop guardianship petition. No contact for minimum 1 year. Provide proof of enrollment in Gamblers, Anonymous, and individual therapy within 30 days. If payments missed or therapy stopped, Margaret could file criminal charges without statute of limitations. At the bottom, signature lines. I looked at David. You agree to this? Yes. All of it? The payments, the therapy, the no contact? Yes, Mom. All of it. I signed. David signed. Our attorney signed. The mediator signed. It was done. Michael Chan stood. This agreement is legally binding. Mr. Smith, if you violate any terms, Mrs. Smith has the right to file criminal charges. Do you understand? Yes. Mrs. Smith, you have legal recourse if this agreement is broken. The court will enforce it. Thank you. Everyone gathered their papers, packed briefcases. David's attorney left first, then Robert, giving my shoulder a supportive squeeze. Susan stayed with me. How do you feel? Tired? Relieved? Sad? That's normal. You did well in there. You were clear, firm. You got what you needed. David was still sitting at the table alone. His attorney had left him there. I walked over, stood across from him. Get help, David. Real help, not just for the money, for yourself. He nodded, couldn't look at me. I hope someday. I stopped. Started again. I hope someday we can talk again as mother and son, not as creditor and debtor, but that's a long time from now. I understand. Goodbye, David. Goodbye, Mom. I walked out. Susan followed. Behind me I heard David crying, really crying. The sound followed me down the hallway. In the elevator, Susan said, "You okay?" I thought about that. Was I okay? Ask me in a year. The first restitution check arrived 2 weeks later, $500 made out to Margaret A. Smith. Memo line, settlement agreement payment 1 of 84. I sat at my kitchen table holding it. The paper felt ordinary, just a check, but it represented something larger. Ouch and ow. I deposited it that afternoon, not into my regular account, into a new one I'd opened specifically for this, an education trust. If David ever had children, it would be there for them, not for him. They wouldn't pay for his mistakes, that was one consequence. There were others. The estate plan was completely redone. Susan Martinez helped me update everything. New power of attorney. Linda's daughter Susan, my attorney now. Someone I trusted completely. Backup Pa. Robert Chan, my financial advisor. Both professionals, both people who proven they had my interests first. The will was rewritten. Primary beneficiary. Charitable donation. An endowment for the local library organization that mattered to me. That would continue my legacy beyond my lifetime. Secondary provision. If David completed all restitution payments, stayed in therapy for 5 years, and maintained sobriety from gambling, he would receive personal items only, photo albums, family heirlooms, my mother's china, things with sentimental value but no monetary worth. The funeral arrangements were secured with a different company, Evergreen Memorial Services, everything prepaid, legally locked. The contract stated clearly, only Margaret A. Smith or court order may modify these arrangements. A copy went to Susan's office, another to a safe deposit box at the bank. Traditional service, the hymns I'd chosen, specific photos for display. Burial plot, next to Robert, everything exactly as I wanted. My dignity, my choice, not a budget line item. The bank had been thorough. After filing the suspicious activity report, they'd flagged David's name permanently in their fraud prevention system. He couldn't open accounts, couldn't be added to anyone else's accounts, couldn't access credit at Valley First Bank. The consequences followed him. Linda came over the day after the mediation, brought casserole, of course, tuna casserole, her specialty. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where this had all started to unravel. You did it, Linda said. You protected yourself. I had help you, your daughter. If you hadn't told me about your sister, I might have kept making excuses for him. Linda squeezed my hand. My sister never fought back. She was too afraid, too ashamed. She died with nothing because she couldn't believe her own son would do that to her. You believed it. You acted. That takes courage. It doesn't feel like courage. It is, trust me, she paused. Book club Thursday? Wouldn't miss it. After she left, I realized something. Linda had been checking on me twice a week, sometimes with food, sometimes just stopping by. We'd started having coffee every Saturday morning at Main Street Cafe, a routine of friendship deepened by crisis. That afternoon, Robert Chen called, asked if I could come to his office for a quarterly review already. I asked. We just did one. Special circumstance review. I want to make sure everything's properly secured. At his office, he pulled up my accounts, went through each one methodically, color-coded spreadsheets, charts, his meticulous approach that I'd come to trust completely. Everything's clean, he said finally. All accounts in your name only. All beneficiaries updated. All access points secured. David can't touch anything. Thank you, Robert, for everything. For noticing, for dampening, for testifying. He looked uncomfortable. It's my job. It's more than that. You could have stayed neutral, just managed the accounts. You didn't. Margaret, I've been in this business 30 years. I've seen elder financial abuse dozens of times. Usually family members get away with it because no one wants to make waves. You made waves, you fought back. That was brave. Everyone keeps saying that because it's true. He closed his laptop. I'm setting up quarterly reviews permanently, not just annual. I want to monitor closely, make sure nothing else surfaces. I appreciate that. You're going to be fine, Margaret. Your retirement is secure. Your assets are protected. You have years ahead of you, good years. That evening, Susan Martinez called. Mrs. Smith, I wanted to check in. How are you doing? Tired. But okay. The settlement is filed with the court. David made his first therapy appointment, provided proof. He's enrolled in a GA program. So far, he's complying. That's good. I'd like to stay on as your attorney, retainer basis. Not for anything specific. Just so you have someone watching out for you legally. Would that be all right? Yes, I'd like that. Good. Because you handled this remarkably well. Most clients your age, she stopped. I shouldn't say that. Most clients, period, wouldn't have had the clarity you showed. You knew what you wanted, you stood firm, you got justice. That's rare. After we hung up, I sat on my back porch. Coffee, crossword puzzle, same routine I'd had for 20 years. But I was different. The birds were at the feeder, a cardinal, 2 sparrows. The October air was cool, the trees were brilliant with color. I thought about David, about the boy in the photo album, about the man in the attorney's office crying. I didn't hate him. That surprised me. I was sad, disappointed, angry sometimes, but not hateful. He was sick, Enshin was a disease. He made terrible choices. But underneath somewhere was the person I'd raised, the boy who'd caught a fish and been so proud, the child I taught to swim. Maybe with therapy, with time, with real help, that person could resurface. Maybe not. Either way, my peace didn't depend on his recovery anymore. The next weekend, I drove to the lake cabin. First time since the mediation, I brought a small box with me inside. Childhood photos of David, the ones I'd removed from the funeral display album, the fishing photo, the swimming lessons, his first day of school. I wasn't throwing them away. I was preserving them separately. Memories of who he'd been, not who he'd become. I also brought flower bulbs, daffodils, perennials that would come back every spring. I planted them along the front of the cabin, dug in the cool October soil, pressed each bulb into the earth. They bloom next April, long after this terrible season ended, long after winter came and went. Some things endure, some things need to be planted and tended. Some things come back year after year regardless of what came before. I finished planting, washed my hands at the outdoor spigot, looked at the lake. The water was calm, reflective, the same water where I taught my son to trust, to float, to swim on his own. Some lessons stick, some don't. I locked the cabin, got in my car, drove home at a red light. I realized something. The tightness in my chest, the one that had been there since the funeral home, since discovering the theft. D was gone. I could breathe again. Not because everything was fixed. David was still an addict. The money would take 7 years to repay. The relationship was broken, maybe permanently, but I was safe. My future was secure. My dignity was intact. That was enough. 6 months later, I'm still in the same house. The 3-bedroom ranch I've lived in for 30 years. Same back porch where I drink my coffee, same birds at the feeder, same crossway puzzle routine. But I'm different. The mortgage is paid off, and it's been for 10 years. My retirement accounts are secure, monitored quarterly by Robert Chen. My estate plan is documented. Hi with Susan Martinez. My funeral is prepaid. Locked. Everything exactly as I want it. I'm not afraid anymore, not of aging, not of dying, not of my own son. The no-contact order is still in effect, another 6 months to go. David's restitution checks arrive on time every month, $500. Direct deposit now, not paper checks. I don't look at them anymore. They go straight into the education trust. Automatic. Robert tells me David hasn't missed a payment. Susan tells me he's still in therapy, still attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings. Whether that means he's healing, I genuinely do. But my peace doesn't depend on it anymore. Linda waves from her garden as I pull into my driveway after book club Thursday nights. We're reading a mystery about identity theft. The irony isn't lost on us. Saturday mornings we have coffee at Main Street Cafe. Sarah, the barista, knows my order. Medium coffee, 1 cream, no sugar. Small town life. Support networks I didn't realize I needed until I did. Last month I did something I hadn't planned on the senior center downtown. Asked if I'd volunteer teaching a workshop. Financial literacy for seniors. Warning signs of elder abuse. How to protect yourself. How to question. How to verify. I said yes. Susan Martinez comes with me sometimes. We've done 3 workshops so far. 15 to 20 seniors each time. They ask questions, they share stories. Some of them are going through similar situations, sons, daughters, grandchildren, family members who see them as money instead of people. We give them resources, attorney contacts, financial advisory referrals, bank fraud hotlines, adult protective services numbers. One woman came up to me after the last workshop. She was crying. "My daughter's been taking money from my account," she said. "I thought I was imagining it. I thought I was being paranoid, but you just described exactly what's happening." I gave her Susan's card, told her, "Call today, don't wait. The longer you wait, the harder it gets," she called. Susan took her case. Now that woman's accounts are frozen, her daughter can't access anything. She's protecting herself. If my story helps one person spot the red flags, it's worth sharing. That's what I tell myself. That's the legacy I'm building now. Not just money in a trust fund. Not just a teaching scholarship, but knowledge awareness, the courage to stand up even when it's your own family. I spent 68 years keeping the peace, avoiding conflict, being the understanding mother, the easy one, the one who never made waves. I wish I'd learned earlier. Sometimes the peace isn't worth keeping. Sometimes protecting yourself is the most loving thing you can do, yourself and for them. Because when I let David steal from me, I wasn't helping him. I was enabling him, making it easier for his addiction to grow, for his desperation to deepen. By stopping him, by setting boundaries, by forcing consequences. Maybe that's the most loving thing I could have done, even if he can't see it yet. Last week I went back to the funeral home, the new one, Evergreen Memorial Services, just to review my plan. Make sure everything was still current. The director, Mrs. Chino, relation to Robert, she clarified with a smile. Pulled out my file. Everything was there, traditional service, the hymns I'd chosen, Amazing Grace, How Great Thou Art, photos I selected, me and Robert at our wedding, David as a child, the fishing photo, my teaching career, my life documented. Everything's exactly as you specified, Miss Smith, she said, sealed and secure, only you or a court order can modify this. She handed me the contract in a sealed envelope. I held it, felt its weight. This is my funeral, not a budget cut. Not someone else's inheritance calculation, my dignity, my final wishes, my terms. I drove past the old lake cabin on the way home. The daffodils I planted last fall are blooming now, yellow against the green grass. They came back just like I knew they would. Some days I miss who David was, the boy I raised, the child who caught a fish and shouted, "I love you, Mom," with pure joy. But I don't regret protecting myself. I'm still here, I'm still standing, and when my time comes, and it will someday, they'll be on my terms, not as a line item in someone else's budget, as a life honored. That's not anger, that's not bitterness, that's just truth. And there's peace in truth, even when the truth is hard. If you've ever felt taken advantage of by family, especially about money or end-of-life planning, you're not alone. Trust your instincts, get professional help, set boundaries. It's not too late. I was 68 when I finally stood up for myself. 68, but it wasn't too late. It's never too late to protect your dignity. What would you have done in my situation? I'd genuinely like to know. Let me know in the comments. Because these conversations matter, these stories matter, and maybe, just maybe, they'll help someone else find the courage to say, not today, not anymore. This stops here.